All right, so in math this week we have been learning about elapsed time, and yesterday we talked about putting things in correct time order, and today we're going to talk about estimating time. So before we go through the sheet that I have, we're going to turn the camera around and we are going to look at this clock that I have drawn on the board, okay? It's not really a good circle right there, but we have our numbers on it. We start with 12 and we go around in order. And we know that if we are counting the minutes, we would count by 5. So let's do that. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and then we're back up to where we would start the next hour. Okay, on here I've got a shorthand and I've got a longhand. The shorthand is always going to be to the hour. So this hour is 5, and then the minute hand is to the 2. But our time is not going to be 5, 2. We have to think about, when we count by 5s, what number would be where the 2 is, and that would be 10. So our time is 5, 10, okay? Now, if I were going to ask you some questions about this clock, I could ask, like, does this clock show exactly 5 o'clock? And the answer would be no, because our minute hand does not touch the 12. If it was going to be 5 o'clock, it would have to be touching the 12, right? Okay, then I could ask you, does the clock show 5:30? And the answer to that would be no, because the minute hand is not on the 6. It has to be on the 6 if it's going to be 30. Now, if I was going to say, how could I describe the time? I could say that the time is between 5 o'clock and 5:30. Our clock is somewhere between 5 and 5:30, and that would be accurate. That would be correct, okay? By looking at the clock, is it closer to 5 o'clock or is it closer to 5:30? We should say it's closer to 5 o'clock because there's only one number in between the 2 and the 12, and there is 3 numbers in between the 2 and the 6. So if I was going to say, is it closer to 5 or 5:30, by looking at this clock, we would say that it is closer to 5 o'clock, okay, because our minute hand is closer to the 12 than it is to the 6. Okay, so that's kind of what we're going to be doing today, is that we are going to be looking at clocks and we're going to kind of be figuring out what time it's closest to. That's what estimating is. Estimating is making a guess based on the information that you have. So I'm going to prop my phone up and I'm going to do the worksheet with you. Remember, my sheet is not just like yours. I have a practice page. So this is for me to practice and teach you with, and you'll need to do your sheet separately when we finish watching this, okay? So I'm going to prop up the camera. I always have to find something to prop it up with. Let's see what I've got here. Maybe my computer will work. It's so far away. Let me see if I can move some stuff and get it a little bit closer. All right, I'm going to put it right here while I teach it to you, and then I'll show you up close the worksheet when we're done. Okay, I hope you can see that. All right, so if we're looking at our sheet, so it's estimating time, okay? And our directions say to read the story and mark the clock. So number 1 says, Diego leaves for school a little before 8 o'clock, okay? So how I would do this is I would look at all of my clocks, and the first thing that I would do is I would write the time that is shown above each clock. So if I look at this one, I've got my shorthand, not all the way at the 8, but in between the 7 and 8, and I've got my minute hand on the 11. So that time, remember, if it's between 2 numbers, you always go back to the number that you passed. So this hour is going to be 7, and then the minutes, I've got to count by 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. This time is 7:55, okay? Then I'm going to look at my second clock. I'm going to find the hour hand first. Let me get another pen. That one's not working good. All right, the hour hand, the shorthand is on the 8, so my hour is 8. And then the minutes, I'm going to count by 5, 5. Okay, so we've got to make sure that we write 5, and we have to put a 0 to mark that tens place, and we have to put the 5 like that. You might be tempted to do this, to write 8, 5, but that would mean it's 8:50. and that would be way over here. So this is not right. Remember your place, okay? 8:05 is the time here. And this last clock is between 8 and 9. So I'm gonna go back. So the hour is gonna be 8, and then by my minutes. I know I've learned that anytime the minute hand is on the 6, it is 30. Okay, so the times of my clocks here are 7:55, 8:05, and 8:30. My question says to mark the clock that shows that Diego leaves for school a little before 8 o'clock. Which one of these times is a little before 8 o'clock? Yeah, it would be 7:55. 7:55 is a little before 8 o'clock. It's almost 8 o'clock, but not quite yet. Okay? All right, let's look at number 2. We're going to do the same thing. It does take longer to write the times out, but I think that helps us get the answers right when we write out the times instead of just trying to guess, okay? So it says, Dad eats lunch just after 1 o'clock each day. Okay, so I'm going to look at my clocks. Now I've got to remember, my minute hand is short. My minute hand is long. The hour hand is short. Okay, so we're going to do hours first. Here is my hour hand. It's between the 12 and the 1. If it's between, I'm always going to go to the back number. So the hour is 12 on this clock, and it's down on the 30. So I know that that is 30 minutes. If I don't know that, I can count. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So this time is 12:30. All right, on this clock, I'm going to find my hour hand, the short one. It's between 1 and 2, which tells me I'm going to go back, and it's 1, and it's also on the 6, so I know that that is 30. And over here, I've got my hour hand on the 1 and my minute hand on the 2. I'm going to count 5, 10. The time is 1:10. So I've got 12:30, 1:30, and 1:10. My question says, Dad eats lunch just after 1 o'clock each day. So which one of these times is just after 1 o'clock? It would be 1:10. 1:10 is just a little bit after 1 o'clock. Okay. All right, the third clock. I'm going to write the time below it here because I have a little bit more space. The Jones family walks to church between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So I'm going to look for times that are between that. Okay, so let's look at this first clock. We're going to find our hour hand. It's between the 6 and 7, so I'm going to go back to 6. And it's on the 9, okay? If we don't know what that means, we know it's not 6, 9, because that's the hour hands on the inside. The minutes are what we count around the outside. So I need to count to the 9 by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. This time is 6:45, okay? All right, we're going to go to the second clock. The hour hand is on the 7. The minute hand is on the 2. So I'm going to count by 5s. 5, 10. The time is 7:10. And then I'm going to go over here to my third clock. This could be tricky because our hands kind of look very similar. Okay, but we need to look very carefully to see where this one stops. This hand stops right before the number, and this one kind of goes through it. So that's going to tell me that my hour hand is down here on the 6 because it's a little bit shorter, and my minute hand is up here on the 12. We're not going to write 6:12. That's not the time. 6:12 would be over here somewhere. If it's on the 12, we're going to write o'clock. Okay. Now our question says, the Jones family walks to church between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. There's only one of these times that falls between 6 and 7, and that would be 6:45. Okay. All right, down here, use the time schedule to answer the question. So we've got a flight schedule, and we've got the depart time from the metro airport, and we've got the arrival county airport. So you're going to leave one place and arrive somewhere else. All right, the clock here says 3 o'clock, so you're going to leave at 3 o'clock, and you are going to arrive. It's between the 4 and the 5, so we're going to go back to the 4. So we're going to arrive at 4:30. Okay, so I'm going to write that on my clock so I can use it to help me if I need it. And I'm going to arrive at 4:30. All right, the Walker family arrived at Metro Airport at 2 o'clock. How long will they wait before the plane departs? Okay, so they got to the airport here at 2 o'clock. That's what time they got to the airport. We can count around to see how long they had to wait. Did they wait 1 hour or 1/2 of an hour? So that means 30 minutes. Did they wait 1 hour or 30 minutes? Well, we can count and see. This is when they got there, and this is when they left. So we're going to count until we get to the 3. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, and there's our next hour. So it took them 1 hour. They waited 1 hour before their plane took off. How long will it take the flight? Well, we left at 3 and we got there at 4:30. Is that going to be 1 hour and 30 minutes or 2 hours and 30 minutes? Well, let's look at the 3. How many numbers do we go up from 3 if we're counting? We have 3 and then 4. We just added 1. So it's going to be 1 hour and 30 minutes. Okay, let me pull that closer so you can see a little bit better what I've done, and you can look at it. And you can pause it if you need to help you with that. Okay. I don't think there's anything on the back that's new. It's just some review of clocks, just writing the time. But I think that you guys know how to do that. This is just the new stuff. All right, so let me flip it around. Okay, so today on your math assignment sheet, you are going to be doing page 353 and 354. You're going to be estimating some time. The front of your sheet just looks just like the front of the sheet that I did with you. And then on the back side, you're just going to have to write the times and then do a little bit of measurement for review. Okay? All right. You've done a great job at math this week. Next week, we will finish up the unit on time. We're going to do calendars on Monday, and then we'll do a review, and then we'll have a Smarty Party next week one day. I'm not really sure what day it'll be. It depends on whether we do the review of the whole book or not. All right. Good job this week.